everybody, and welcome to part 2 of my brand design process series. Last week I posted part 1, which I will link right above here, but I'm taking you guys with me on a real life client experience for brand design. So if you are completely new to graphic design or even new to my channel, hello, my name is Megan and I am a graphic designer. I've been designing for the past almost 8 years now, and I specifically specialize in brand design and website design. So brand design kind of entails a lot of different things. I will actually put up here the different phases of my branding so you can kind of see all the different things that are included. But branding ultimately provides my clients a clear guideline of how to show up visually. That's kind of a very simplified description of what branding really is. So with that, you get the logo design, you get the colors, the fonts, the mission statement, the strategy, all the things that come with how to show up visually and strategically to actually succeed is what I provide my clients. So if you guys want to go see part 1, I do talk about the strategy as well as the mood board and how that helps me with this specific phase. So this phase, which we will be focusing on, is logo design and exploration. So I'm super excited. I know you guys have liked these videos in the past of mine where I show you behind the scenes of me actually designing a logo. So that's what today's video is going to be. I'm so excited. If you are interested in learning like much more of what's involved in a logo, kind of breaking down the logo as a whole, I do have a course that I launched this year called Logo Design Simplified, and I show you guys every single step of the process in a very simplified way, hence the name. So I will leave that link down below if you want to check that out. But today I'm just going to show you guys behind the scenes of me creating the logo. So just to refresh your memory, on the last video we had the mood board decided on and approved by the client. So after that phase, I'm able to jump in using that inspiration and that vision from the mood board to create the logos. So I'm super excited. Before I jump into my computer screen, I wanted to share with you the programs I typically use to design my logos. So lately, this is kind of a newer thing for me, but lately I've been really practicing hand drawing all of my logo elements. I love like that kind of organic and the textures that come with like a hand-drawn illustration and image tracing that on Adobe Illustrator. I'm loving the way that looks lately, so I'm kind of adjusting to that, but usually I will use either a notebook and a pen or pencil, and then I also will use my iPad, which I use to Procreate. I don't always do that for every client, but I do like to have that as a tool, and then I always use Adobe Illustrator to make it all come to life. So thought that I would share that because I get a lot of questions on like what tools and programs and everything I use, but honestly, you don't need all the crazy things. All you need is your creative brain, a paper, a pencil, and that strategy behind what it is you're creating. So let's hop on over to my computer and I'll show you guys this logo design. All right, you guys, I thought I would walk you through kind of like the steps I take before I design the logo and all the things I look for to make sure that the logo part goes smoothly. So I do have a Pinterest board for this client, which is what I showed you guys during the mood board process. But with this Pinterest board, I did add in some logos to kind of help me with inspiration, which I think is totally fine to do. I do that every single time almost. But in addition to creating this Pinterest board, I also like to draw sketches out on my notebook, which I can also show you guys a little bit later. But this is kind of a basic little Pinterest board I created. And another thing that I did for this client was I actually looked up their Instagram and I found this, and I think that this is their account. So when I saw this though, it made me realize that they like kind of like that dainty flower sketches and like the serif fonts. So when I saw this, which I'm almost positive this is them, I was like, okay, maybe I should do more of like a dainty or at least a flower. So you can see my Pinterest feed is now a lot of that because that's what I was searching. So I gave them, well, I'm going to give them about 3 different options to choose from. So I think I'm going to do So lately what I've been doing to help me mentally is I have 3 themes to each concept. So for this client in particular, I want to have a theme that's really revolved around playful, youthful, kind of bubble letter style. I want to have another logo that's like super simple, probably a sans serif font with like a really, really minimal element. And I would love to have that element be able to like turn into other elements and have that as like a pattern. So that's that logo. And then for the last concept, I want to do something that involves like the flower and a little more of that serif font. So that is kind of what helps me mentally is if I have a theme for each one. And if you are someone who likes to do the one logo concept, that is also perfect. And I would just keep on doing what you're doing if it's working. So that's kind of what I look at before I design. Another thing I look at is, go over here, the mood board I created them. So I'm going to be pulling up this mood board on my Adobe Illustrator to kind of help me with the overall process, but I always want to make sure I have that mood board pulled up as well. So with that said, let's start designing. I wanted to show you how I take those sketches from my notebook and put it into a logo design and a vectorized element. So to do that, what I am going to do is I already took a picture of the element on my phone. So I'm opening up my phone real quick and I'm going to just airdrop it over from my notebook, and then I'm going to go Window, Image Trace. And we are going to want to image trace it as a black and white logo. You can hit OK here. Just letting me know it's a little bit more complicated. So that already looks really nice, but I'm going to zoom in so I can look at the finer details on the leaf. And we're going to open up this advanced area here. And I would just leave it on tracing result. You can do it with outlines, whatever you feel comfortable with, but I always do the tracing result. I'm going to increase the threshold, and I'm looking at this one specific part, and honestly, it might not get fixed because that could have just been my sketch to begin with, but we can kind of play around with it, and that'll make it thicker. Let's actually look more at the flower. Okay, let's decrease the noise. And honestly, I kind of like the imperfections. I love that like organic look like I mentioned. So I think I'm going to keep it most like this, but let me just double check everything. Increase the paths a little. And then let's hit ignore white. And if I zoom out, we're going to see all the other little pieces of my notebook. So to delete that, we're going to go to properties and expand. And I'm going to just double click on this and delete. And then we will also just hover over that. And now we have our sketch in here, which is so fun. It makes it really easy to like do some hand-drawn elements, like really unique elements too. And then I can also go to swatches and change the color to one of the colors from the color palette. And then we can put it in a shape and play around with it. But that is one way to do hand-drawn illustrations for your logo. Honestly, I might just redraw this on my notebook and fix all of those imperfections. Leah's talking. But yeah, that's how I wanted to show you guys how I actually get those illustrations on Illustrator. Alright, you guys, I wanted to also talk about fonts and how I typically look for fonts I can use for free. As you guys can see right in front of me, I have defontfree.io. This is kind of where I'll do my initial searching for some fonts that I like. They have some like really pretty ones that you can find on like Creative Market. Just demo ones. You do have to purchase the license if you decide to use this, especially if you're going to be designing on, or if you're going to be designing the website for this client. We will need the font licenses. You honestly need them anytime, but you do want to make sure you're getting the licenses. But this is a nice little kind of workaround for not having to purchase a million different fonts that you might not even use. So at the top here, I'll usually search like serif fonts, and sometimes you can even go to Creative Market and kind of find the fonts that you like on there and just search the name on defontfree.io. There's a lot of DeFont websites. This one in particular, in my opinion, has a lot more choices, and I love seeing them in those kind of like real life images. So this is where I searched for most of mine. We ended up picking one that I picked from here, so I did have to purchase it on Creative Market, but it is a nice workaround. Usually I like to find like a really unique font for like the heading, but for the body font and the font we'll be using most commonly, I guess, for like big pieces of text for the brand, I do like to just look on Google Fonts. But I wanted to show you guys my favorite go-to lately. Alright, you guys, so once I finished the first round of logo concepts, I sent it over to my client and it looked a little bit like this. So I oftentimes change my presentation style. I'm just going to preface that if you are taking my branding course or my logo course, it might look a little different because I always am changing the way I present these. I love change. I don't know, I have a problem, but I did change the way this kind of looks. So I thought I'd show you guys a little snippet of how that looked when I sent it over to my clients. And once again, I like to walk them through the logos by filming a screen recording on Vimeo. And that kind of just helps me explain why I decided to design the things I designed, because at the end of the day, the clients are paying you for your creativity, and you might as well like sell the logo that you're creating and explain to them the creative process behind it. So I did create a screen recording video. They all have their specific uses, so each different I guess variation of the logo is necessary to have. So I did want to go over that too. But moving on to the next concept. Now this one is more along the lines of what I showed in the mood board, which is more of the bubble letters, more like bold and playful, and a lot more of like a youthful feel. So I did want to go in that direction with this. So this is the initial primary logo and the submark that I created for this concept, using that idea of like big bold letters and kind of just making it really simple, and also including like a flower for a symbol to make it recognizable, and having those bees reflecting off each other I think can be really fun for this concept. And again, in black and white here, I have the primary, secondary, and 3 different submark ways that you can play around with that. So this client is super easy to work with. They really don't have a whole lot of crazy changes or feedback, but I do want to make sure that they love the logo and that they're going to want to use it, and it's timeless and things like that. So we did want to hone in on the concept 1, which I'm very excited about. That was one of my favorites. It's definitely more of my vibe, more of my style. So with that, we wanted to make the flower look a little more dainty. And I totally see what they mean. It's a little bit more of a bold, kind of youthful flower. And I think having more of that dainty kind of tattoo flower look is gonna look really nice for them. So I took that feedback and I created this. Now with this round of logos, I really wanted to make sure that they understand that primary, secondary, and submark is necessary. They want to make sure that they're choosing the full kind of like rundown and the variations of all of them. So I want to make that clear because a lot of times they don't realize that they're going to need to use the secondary as well as the submark. So we have a decision though. They decided on this logo and I'm so happy about it. I think it's a really awesome looking one. And before I send them like the final logo files, I want to make sure that it looks nice and clean. And I know it's a little more of a hand-drawn illustration, but I want to make sure that it looks like really crisp and clean and ready for them to use. So I'm going to probably recreate that illustration and just kind of clean it up a little bit. Or I might even just go on my Adobe Illustrator and kind of like erase the parts that are a little messier looking. And then I will send them over it in every single version. So the next video, which will be phase 3 of the process, will be me packaging it up, and I will show you guys like the logo files, everything like that I need to send them. I'll definitely show you guys in that video, but I really just wanted to hone in and focus on the actual logo in this video. So I hope that was helpful. I'm very excited with how this turned out. Let me know what you guys think. It's definitely feminine and dainty and definitely perfect for their business, which is a feminine female boutique for clothing and really cute curated clothing pieces. So excited though. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new from it or enjoyed watching my process. If you did enjoy it, I would appreciate it so much if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. And I will see you guys in my next video, which is going to be website in a week. I'm currently in the middle of a website in a week for this client, so definitely make sure you stick around for that. But thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.